Coming up, England turn the Gross defence to yogurt. Connor does some cooking, and the highest ever total score has come upon us. Yes, hello and welcome back to the Sideline Chat podcast, the one-stop shop for rugby league. I'm Mark Henry this week as Connor is, unfortunately suspended for the rest of the year as he may have said a few words uh, to the producers after the last episode as he wasn't happy about Josh Jackson retiring from the NRL and from the Bulldogs. So that's why he is not here for the rest of the year. So it's up to me to bring it home for season 2022. And we start off with the week 3 of the Rugby League World Cup games, looking ahead to the first of the quarter-finals. Now, we start off with New Zealand beating the Ireland side 48 points to 10. It was pretty much one-way traffic as what the score suggests. The Irish were lucky to get some points on the board, as I always keep saying. Some points are better than no points at all, but New Zealand just absolutely dominated from the word go. To start off with, we'll run you through a sequence of events there. It was unlucky for Lewis Senior. He looked like he was going to go and get a runaway try to open the scoring for the Irish, but a forward pass is what cost him that, which is very unfortunate that he was going to go absolutely down the sideline closest to the camera of the game, really, and just the last minute forward pass has cost him that, which is unfortunate. But Ireland did get the first points on the board by a penalty goal, so they were ahead 2-0, but then it went downhill from there as the next action that happened with the try was Jerome Hughes. He ducked and weaved his way past the Irish defence to score the first try of the match and his first for the match. And then Jerome Hughes, yet again, a pinpoint kick across the field to Jordan Rapana, who grabbed the ball and put it down. So, yet again, New Zealand extending their lead. And Jerome Hughes, yet again, he's just was involved in literally nearly every single play in this one. He was outstanding. And yet again, he put a nice little grubber kick through to set up a try for Peter Hiku, his first try of the match. Now, while we're speaking about Jerome Hughes, that is Connor's standout player was Jerome Hughes with 2 tries, 3 try assists, 115 run meters, 18 tackle breaks, 3 line breaks, and an offload. So that just gives you an indication of how well he has really played. And coming out of that Melbourne Storm system, he's replicating what he has done in Melbourne during the 2022 season and now into the World Cup. It's just unbelievable there. So it was looks like it was going well there for New Zealand, but something did go against them, and that was an intercept by Lewis Senior, who did finally get his try after a beautiful intercept, and he goes long range to put Ireland on the board for their first try of the match. But then that ended very quickly too before Peter Hiku gets his second try for the match as Jerome Hughes again breaks through the line and throws a beautiful pass indeed. Next up, Muatawa, he grabs his first try of the match and he went in basically untouched. Irish defence was shot to bits. But that was thanks to Jerome Hughes and Dylan Brown as well, linking up together to set up Muatawa. Now, this try was, I don't know how the hell he did it, but Jordan Rapana somehow, and it was like the tiniest of all margins, kept his foot in the field of play to slide over for his second try. So the ball was shifting out to Jordan Rapana. He got the ball. The Irish defence was trying to come across to get him. and he slid over. He dove down and slid over, but his foot just managed to stay in the field of play by millimeters. So if he one little bit out or touching the line, that was it. That would have been no try. But absolute scenes there, and credit to Jordan Rapinoe and to all winners really to how athletic they have been. More tries piling on for New Zealand. Here with James Fisher Harris being too big and too strong. He goes straight through a weak spot in the Irish defence and goes for a try himself, which was backed up for Jerome Hughes, who got another try for himself as he hits the padding on the goalposts and he plants the ball right on the line, right next to the post. So it would have been a very easy kick there. There was a little kick put through. He hit it with his shoulder, I believe, and then he just reached out enough and just got right next to it. Probably one of the easiest kicks ever in the World Cup. And just keep getting better from there for New Zealand as Kenny Bromwich grabbed a try after the Irish made a mistake when attempting to get the ball from a tackle 5 kick from New Zealand. Just lack of communication or just had butterfingers really. They couldn't pick up the ball in time for them to get it back into the field of play or run away with it. But New Zealand were there to capitalise, and that was the pressure that New Zealand were putting on the Irish all match to force them a lot of errors, which is what happened there. And that's 4 possession there for the Irish. But speaking of the Irish and Lewis Senior yet again, he got his second try of the match late on after he forced an error from Ronaldo Mulitalo from their last tackle kick, and he picked up the ball. He got it. He got up. He picked up the ball and put it down to put Ireland onto 10 points for the match. So credit to him there. He was the standout player for the Irish by far. And also, for one more try scored for the Kiwis was Joey Manu goes through the defensive line to score a try of his own, and it was as simple as you can get. So overall, New Zealand were just way too classy for the Irish. It was kind of expected to be like that. Just the class difference and all the experience. There's more experienced players in the New Zealand side than what there is for the Irish. Now, speaking of experienced players and what I said to start off with England turning the Greece defence to yogurt, referring to Greek yogurt, England absolutely thumping Greece by 90 points. So the final score being 94 points to 4. So that basically says that the Greece defence was soft, like yogurt, hence that. There was really nothing went wrong for England. Again, like New Zealand, from the get-go, they were on fire and ready to rumble. And yet again, the experience of in the English side compared to the Greece side was just a massive margin. I'm not saying that the Greece players aren't experienced; they are. But when it comes to a World Cup and put all the best of the best from England together, it's just going to be so hard to beat. And the scoreline really does reflect that. And it started off with Matty Lees easily slicing through to get a try and the first of the match. And that's when it really kicked off from there. With England having an overlap of players and they absolutely used it to perfection as Dominic Young goes over to score his first of 4 tries, which he is the standout player for Connor. As I was saying, with 4 tries, 1 try assist, 169 running meters, 6 tackle breaks, 4 line breaks, and 1 offload. And that's what England were doing, just forcing Greece to come into the field, which set England up nicely for the overlap of players. So I think it was like 3 players to 1 or 4 players to 2. That just doesn't work. You can't defend 4 players with 2 players or 3 players with 1 player. So The next one was defence, as I was just saying, rushed up. The Greece defence, I should say, rushed up. No, my apologies there. The England defence rushed up and allowed Greece to score their first and only try of the match. So that was a bit of a error there from England, which you don't see happen very often, or did see happen very often at all in this match. Just a pure class that they are there. What Greece were doing to England, they reversed roles just for that one bit of moment in the spotlight there for the Greek side. George Williams, he threw like a harbour big pass, a long over pass to Dominic Young, who went over for his second quite easily. And once again, a rugby league without the legend of England Rugby League, or a legend of England Rugby League, Ryan Ball. Beautiful kick put in. He found Ryan Ball. He picked up the ball and scored the try. Again, with Ryan Ball is not scoring, it means that either the team's having an off night or they just couldn't get the ball out to him a lot, or we didn't get a full possession. But this time, England were on top. They had the space there for the kick. They put the kick in. Ryan Hall was there, picked it up, and put it down quite simply. Another try for England with the pass back onto the inside. Tom Burgess crashed over, but he was too big and too strong for the Greece defence to defend Tom Burgess. I mean, any big guy close to the line with speed behind him, it's just going to be so hard to beat. And something very similar in the Tonga Cook Islands game, which I will touch on very shortly. Next up, we have Dominic Young getting his third try for England. He has been absolutely try scoring machine for England, not only in this match but in the entire World Cup. Coming from a Newcastle Knights side that wasn't the best in 2022. He did score a hat trick in one game, and he is quite capable of scoring tries. He just needs to team up around him, like for example England and in this match. And if he has that, he'll just get the ball and keep racking up try after try after try. And that's what he did here. And this one, it was a little bit harder. I think this was the hardest try he had to work for a fair bit to get this one. He had two defenders off, like trying to stop him, like one from his left, one from his right, and they still couldn't stop him. That's how strong he is close to the line. But he still managed to get the ball in, so credit to him there. And then he backed it up with his fourth try of the match. And the lead up work to his final try was just absolutely slick. It was like a well-oiled machine there. All England was doing was passing the ball out wide through the hands, and it finished with him scoring his fourth in the corner. And this other one is beautiful teamwork here from England into a gut, started by none other than Jack Wellesby, who, as we know, is one of Connor's favourite players, as you've heard over the previous year of the Super League wrap-up episodes. And he passed it on to George Williams, who goes on into open space. No one laid a finger on him, and he finished it off under the sticks there for another easy conversion. Next up, Mark Sneed, who was an absolute standout player for the Salford Red Devils this season, who he helped drag all the way through to the preliminary final against St Helens, where they unfortunately got knocked out. And St Helens progressed through to the grand final, and the rest is history there. But he put a kick in on tackle one, which is a very risky play, but he was smart about it. He saw his face, so he put the kick in, There's a lot of players that missed the ball, but somehow Tommy Makerson didn't miss the ball and he planted it down. I mean, Tommy Makerson, whenever he gets the opportunity to score, 9 times out of 10 he gets it put down to add yet more points to not only his career but for England in this match. John Bateman, he's back in a big way in this matchup. He created a hole in the defense, and he knew he couldn't quite get there, so he passed. He offloaded to Mark Sneed, who went over himself. So he set up one try before, and then he finally scored one for himself there. It's amazing to see John Bateman back and playing at his best footy, and he was playing for, like that for Wigan this season as well when he came back over to England from the NRL in Canberra. Tom Burgess barges his way over again thanks to a short pass. The gap, it didn't look like the gap was big enough in the defensive line from the Greeks, but it was big enough for him. And any gap for Tom Burgess, he'll just go through it, make it big enough for him, and he just went straight through like a hot knife through butter and put the ball down for his second and final try of the match. Ryan Hall scored a double with another pass, this time a long cutout pass to Ryan Hall, who gets his second one. That was easy as pie. It never looked like it was going to be in doubt once Ryan Hall got the ball. And like the defense was just absolutely miserable. It was getting softer and softer as the game went on, to be quite honest with you there. Joe Batchelor grabbed a try. He's had a standout season in the Super League, and for England, this one just caps off his magnificent year he's had. One of his best years in a long time. I think he has had less suspensions, which is really good to see. His discipline has been fixed up big time, so let's hope he continues that for the rest of the World Cup and heading into the 2023 Super League season. But his try was just yet again passing through the hands and the slight overlap that England had over Greece. Easy as. Ackers, from dummy half, he throws a dummy, but he goes himself and adds his name to the scoreboard, or adds his points to the scoreboard and his name to the score sheet. Simple as. You go from dummy half, you fake the pass, defense falls for it, and you just go straight through the middle. Easy as. No easier try than that. Kai Pearce Paul, again, it's simple, basic footy, passing through the hands, running up into the defense, with the defense coming in to try and stop you. But it's simple footy. Simple footy is sometimes the best footy. And that's what happened in this match. And how Pearce Paul got his try. Straight through the hands, straight through the defense, puts the ball straight down. Easy as. Ackers yet again gets his second try for England. That setup work. It went through a few set offense, went out to Batchelor, back out to Ryan Hall, back into Batchelor, and to Andy Ackers, who scored again. Then the final try for England was to Mike Meakin out of every player. He's got his try from Dominic Young, who passed back in the infield as he was going to go out over the sideline. It was very touch and go. It happened so quickly. It looked like that Dominic Young was going to go out, but he somehow managed to get the ball in, and McMeekin was there to get the ball and go straight in to wrap up England's absolutely massive 90-point victory. Now, we thought that the Australian-Scotland game was a massive score of 84-0 or 94-4 is the biggest to date for the World Cup across the men's, the women's, and the wheelchair. Or is it? We have to wait and see. Next up, we have Fiji down Scotland, 30 points to 14. Look, Scotland did their best to try and contain Fiji, but the size of the Fijians is just way too big for Scotland to contain. Yes, they did get a few tries, which was good to see. They did try their best, but wasn't enough for them to overcome the Fijians. So straight into the fence, the Fijians were just on fire. Straight into the bench line, they couldn't contain the player, which I should have gotten, which I don't have. But it was an easy try, straight under the sticks. Indeed, it was. And that shows how easy it was for that one. Billy kick out. Wow, he's in some great form at the moment, isn't he? Backing up from the grand final for the Penrith Panthers, and he's played magnificently for Fiji in the World Cup so far, and will continue to do so for the remainder of the World Cup, which is coming to a close very, very quickly up to the quarterfinals, and then you've got the semis, then you've got the final. So time gets away very, very quickly indeed. But he was in support and managed to get the second try for the Fijians. Lachlan Walmsley. Now, I believe there is no relation between him and Alex Walmsley. If there is, just pop down in the comment section below if there is relation or not. But he gets a runaway intercept try to put Scotland on the board. And, well, I mean, they did get that penalty goal, but to get that first try was brilliant to see. And to how it happened was just unbelievable. But unfortunately, though, it kind of backfired for Walmsley as he couldn't contain a kick from the Fijians, which allowed them to get the third try of the match and extend their lead even further than what it already was. That's unfortunate there for the young guy. Ben Hallowell, he got another try for Scotland. It was from a beautiful grubber kick there. He perfectly weighted, and he gave the Scottish another try. And I think that was their final. No, that was the second last try of the match for them. Anyway, there was obviously more tries in the match, but for the Scots, it was the second last one for them. Another one for the Fijians, Makasivo. It was just a simple try from him. No one made a finger on him. He just went straight through. The Scottish just come in the field a little bit too much to get the ball, to try and get the defensive launch, to get the attacking shut down, but it didn't help at all. And Sivo just went in under. So everyone in Parramatta who's a Fiji fan would have been saying Sivo, 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 like they do out Combank. And the final try for Scottish was Liu, who after a miraculous try off the ground, pass off the ground, I should say. He somehow got the ball after getting the offload, or the offload somehow found him, and he went in to score the final try for Scotland. I say it was one of the setups of, well, for the match. It's a beautiful setup and bit of miracle. It could have gone either way. And finally, Corbin Sims around the feet, right at the end there. They tried stopping him, but He was too close to the line, reached out, pointed the ball onto the white paint. So that was it. All she wrote for that match. The standout player for Fiji was Tamila Sadrugu, who scored the first try, and Ra Ray scored the third try for the Fijians. But Sadrugu got one try, 634 running meters, three tackle breaks, one fly break, and four offloads there. That is kind of standout player of the match. Now, Australia beating Italy, which was really no surprise here, to be quite honest. They downed Italy 66 points to 6. And again, one-way traffic is another absolute blowout score. We have seen so many blowout scores in this World Cup. It's not funny, but look, it's just the class differences between the sides that got more professional players than what others do. It's simple as that. To start off with, Cherry Evans kicked across the field to find Valentine Holmes to get the opener for Australia, and it went pretty much all Australia's way from them on in. Their second try for Australia going to Murray Taulagi from a pass from a lovely pass from Sean Mitchell, who Taulagi went in untouched. Now in the winners, slightly improved their position there for Cleary to take the conversion there. Also, speaking of Nathan Cleary, he passed to Tedesco, who dummied the ball and gets the third straight try for the Kangaroo there. And Tedesco scoring against his other nation he can represent, Italy, which, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, that I think in the last World Cup in 2017, Tedesco did play for Italy. I'm not 100% sure, but correct me if I am wrong. Yeah. Fourth straight try for the Kangaroos was at Campbell Graham. From the goal line dropout from Italy, went straight to Campbell Graham, and he got the ball and ran straight past the defence and scored. Now you don't see. I mean, you have seen it happen before in the NRL, especially I think it was the Dragons Raiders game at Wollongong earlier this year. But they still had a worried about breaking the 10-meter line playing. Then this one it easily went to 10 meters. But the defense of Italy just wasn't there, and didn't switch on quick enough. And by the time they did or realised what was going on, Kevin Graham had already scored his first of the match. So it was quite spectacular, in my opinion. Nathan Cleary, again, getting involved like he always does. He shoots a pass back into the field to find Latrell Mitchell, who bags his first try in the match after setting up Murray Taulagi earlier on. And also, Latrell Mitchell again setting up Murray Taulagi for his second try in the match. It's just shifting through their hands, and an overlap yet again there. It's just poor defense by the Italians. And that was it for the first half for the Australians. So 6 tries in the first half compared to none. So the halftime lead was 30 points to 0. Now the second half it started off pretty much as it did at its first, with Isaiah Yeo getting a try after James Tedesco breaking through the line, passing back to Cherry Evans, who then passed it on to Isaiah Yeo to open the Aussies' second half account with a try, and it was right next to the post as well, so it was an easy kick for Yo's club mate Nathan Cleary. But unfortunately, that was for Tedesco, as he came off the field with what seems to be a bit of a knee injury. I think by the time he should be right for the quarterfinal matchup against Lebanon. But we just had to wait and see in when the team sheets come in to see if he plays or not. He might either do or die run home now. Is if you win, you progress through to next week. If not, you'll go on for the World Cup. But there was no Tedesco, no worries whatsoever, as pretty much as soon as Tedesco come off, they scored again via Liam Martin that was for the Australians there. Following that up, Italy finally got a try on the ball thanks to Ronnie Palumbo, sorry. He got it off a very nice grubber kick indeed there with Jack Campagnolo or Birdie. Their only try of the match here. That was the only dent that Italy really put in for Australia. And not long after that, Cameron Murray got the ball to score there. Another try for the Aussies. And it was just, again, short passes and through the hands. It was simple footy. They don't need to do anything fancy, especially if they're already well and truly in the front. There's no point being fancy. You're just going to risk getting 4 points on you, which was pretty unnecessary there. Next one was Campbell Graham getting his second try of the match. Daly Cherry's finding him quite easily, as also Graham goes through quite easily just through the defence of the soft defence of Italy. And one of the last tries, second last try, came to Jermaine Nanai to score once again. And he put the position around to, wasn't quite underneath the sticks, but come around close enough for it. So Cleary would easily slaughter it home. It was just from Isaiah to Cherry Evans again to Nanai. So simple as that. And finally, in the last minute of the match, Lindsay Collins gets a try of his own. He went pretty much, I believe it was one pass, a couple passes to him, and he just went straight through the hole and scored. Very easy in there, I think. And complete control for the Australians over Italy. The standout player for Connor from the Australia vs Italy side was Nathan Cleary. 97 running meters, 3 try assists, 4 line break assists, and 9 out of 12 goals converted. Now we're going to Lebanon at the Jamaica at what was at the Lee Sports Village, a Lee home now of the what was the Lee Centurions, now the Lee Leopards, who, if you haven't caught up already, is back in the Super League for 2023 after winning the £1 million game, and Toulouse getting relegated back down to the Championship. So Lebanon beating Jamaica 74 points at 12. Again, Lebanon just took control of the match. They're from the kickoff, which you don't see happen very often. But this is, I think, the second time in as many games Jamaica have done this, which is quite clever. Off the kickoff, do a short kickoff, and regain the ball. Usually, you do that when it's close and you need to try and come back, not start off the match. And they've done that twice now, and they were quite successful in doing it. So that's something very different. Whether or not we see that in the quarterfinals and the semis and the likes of that with some of the other teams, we have to wait and see. But really, it was really good to see that they're trying something different, Jamaica. They really weren't going to make the finals whatsoever, but hey, they got the first try of the World Cup last time out before this match, and that was absolutely scenes to see. That was so special to watch. But so they got the ball back, finish off their set. They were so close to the try line, but they just couldn't. They went over the try line, but they just couldn't quite get the ball down in time. So that was unfortunate for the Jamaicans, but a good start for them, but then it started going downhill for them ever since that. Uh, once Mitchell Moses went, uh, once Mitch Moses broke into space, he only had the fullback from the Jamaican side to Dewey, so he passed it to Michael Tenos, to score his first try of the match. Well, his own would try the match, but the first for Lebanon. Uh, Abbas Miski, he got his first try of the match when he got a drop pass and with speed behind him. He just got it right place, right time, just went through the line and scored a try there. So I can't remember who it was, but one of the other Lebanon players was running on diagonal. Miski was coming across. So when I was running diagonal towards the corner, we just like did a drop pass and Miski was there and just went straight through the Jamaican defence and put the ball down that one. Following up, Lebanon got their third try in quick succession as El Zakum scored after he got a pass that got into open space, which is very similar to the first try to Tanos. Reece Robinson scored again, so they got like 4 tries in the space of 15 minutes, which is unbelievable. He went untouched in the corner as Lebanon had Jamaica outnumbered. Following that, Rajab, scored the next Lebanon try after passing Adam Dewey, and yet again similar to the first try indeed. So most of their first few tries were very similar to each other, barring Reece Robinson's. Next up, on the 22nd, what was the 22nd minute? This one's going down the wing, and then they found a pass to the centre, and then to the try scorer of Shabel Tassipali, who finished it off. Beautiful work there. Josh Mansell, he got his first try in the corner, as again Jamaica were just outnumbered out on the edge there. That was his first of 3 tries indeed. Following that up was Adam, and that was it at the break. So at the break it was 42-0 indeed. And to add more salt in the wound to Jamaica, they couldn't score in the first half when Jackson Rain from Lebanon got sent in sin bin on the 39th minute. So start of the second half, he had Adam Dewey crossing over after fending his way past the Jamaican defence. Just fend, and off you go. And it was fairly close to the try line to start off with anyway. Following that, Jamaica finally get their first try of the match, just as when Lebanon went back to full strength on 13v13. And it's their first of the match, second for the World Cup, and the ball went behind Lebanon with Mo Agoro picking up the ball and scoring the try from a long range. A bit of a boo-boo there from Lebanon, and Jamaica made them pay for it, which is credit to them. Next up was Tassa Pele. He scored his first of the match. No, second on the match, sorry. That was another fairly straightforward try there for Tassa Pele. It's just work that led up to it, and poor defense again from Jamaica. The ball went high into the air and it came off. There was too many hands to see who it come off, but it come off someone's hand with Casapella in the right place at the right time and getting the ball and scoring yet another Lebanon Sears try there. Following that up, Maron had a little bit of work to do to get his try, but as soon as he got the ball, he powered his way towards the try line and managed to scoop it up and add his name to the score sheet and extend Lebanon's lead. Josh Mansell gets his second try after he got the intercept and went long range. So that's two long range tries in this match already. Jamaica get their second for the match and third and final one for the World Cup, as they are now knocked out and no longer in for the finals. It came off a little grubber kick that rebounded off from Lebanon, and they managed to get the try thanks to Jordan and Andrade, if I pronounce that correctly. Mansell again got his third and final try of the match. In spectacular style, he it was well up in the air, and it was from Adam Dewey pass. He had to leap up in the air and like nearly go over the bloody corner post before he got the ball down. Indeed. But it was as spectacular as it was, he did bloody well to get the ball down whilst mid flight. And to wrap it all up, Abbas Miski scored his final try after Adam Dewey was going down the sideline. He put a kick in. It was just a race to see who could get it first, if Jamaica wanted it or if one of the Lebanon players, it was Miski or Dewey, they were chasing after, but Miski got there first and went straight under. The standout player for Connor, he actually has two standout players from Lebanon. Adam Dewey with one try, 5 try assists, 212 running meters, 8 tackle breaks, 3 line breaks, and 4 out of 6 goals converted. The other one was Khalid Rajab with one try, 5 try assists, 156 running meters, 2 tackle breaks, and 2 line breaks. Now, back to what I was saying about what I was saying at the top of the or in the intro about Tonga does some cooking. Well, Tonga did some cooking to the Cook Islands as they did the scoreline of 92 points to 10 in favour of Tonga. Absolutely crazy scoreline. I think that was the second or third one. Second points by a team into the 90s, the other one being England. But the third biggest score in the World Cup, I believe. To start off with was Daniel Tupou. He knows how to find the try line, Daniel Tupou, whether it's World Cup, Origin, regular season for the NRL. It's just unbelievable there. He was given the ball, going down the sideline, and really, he only had I think he had one player in the cover, and he stumbled a little bit, but he managed to get it down in time. Follow that up 12 minutes later, because that was within the first minute of the match, which is unbelievable. Jason Tonwell crashed his way over after not knocking out, but knocking out the way one of the Cook Islands defense players there. And there were other two Cook Islanders trying to stop him, but Jason Tamalo, when he's got some steam built up and running hard at the line, he's so hard to stop indeed. And the Cook Islands found out the hard way. And again, they found out the hard way again when he scored another try only a few minutes later. This time was a little bit easier. A pass went to ground, and there was no one there. The pass went to ground from the Tongans, but no one was there. And Talamalo got to the ball in time, picked it up, and went over for his second of the match. Tessie knew he was involved in a few setups and few tries and scored 3 himself in the match. But this was his first try after Felice Kofusi found some space and just passed her at the fullback to contend with and passed it back to New, who raced under and improved the position even more. Fodawaker couldn't quite get through the defense line. He had one shot and come back out, and had another shot and still couldn't get through. So he found the ball to Soddy Luke, who put in the grubber kick and found Will Penasini to score his first of 4 tries for this match. Testing New grabbed his second after Moses Sully was going down the sideline. He found a gap somehow and timed it beautifully, stabbed the grubber kick through, and Testing New with speed and in space picked up the ball, got the ball, and planted it down for his second of the match. Well, apparently try was given to Will Pensini for his second try at the match as he was taken off the ball in a try scoring situation after Sione Katoa threw the pass once he broke into space. But before Penasini got the ball, well, just as Penasini got the ball, he got nudged out the way, which has resulted in a penalty try, as Will Penasini would have definitely got that try if he was nudged off the ball. So that's a penalty try. It's not an 8-point try. It's still awarded a try, and the goal is taken from right in front. Next up, we had Tui Lolohila. He was involved in a lot of action, so he could have doubled himself. He put up a kick himself, and it was knocked back by Katoa, and then knocked back into the hands of Tui Lolohila, and then he scored his own try after setting up. He kind of set up for himself, but he wasn't intentionally meant to set up for himself. It initially meant to go to Katoa out in the wing. Next up, Kafusi, another pass, or a short pass to Kafusi, found another gap in the defense and goes straight through the defensive line to make it 52 points at the break. So 52 points for nil at half time. Yeah, unbelievable scoreline there. And to start off the second half, Isaiah Katoa picked up the ball from the ground, passed it back to Will Penasini, and then gives it back to Katoa to score the try to open up their account for the second half and his first for the match. Katoa again setting up the attack. He was involved in a lot, especially because they were going down that side a fair bit, the Tongan side. He passes to Sully, goes through the line, puts a step on before passing to Tessie New, who goes under and finishes it off and grabs his third and final try for the match. Following that up was Tui Lolohila again. This time Daniel Tupou opened up the Cook Island defense. And he finds Talatau Amone, who nearly made it to score his own try, but he somehow got stopped by Zane Tenabano. Somehow he's like getting ragdoll like what Gordon Tallis did back in the day in one of the State of Origin matches. I can't remember what year precisely. Connor would know if he was here. But straight from dummy half, all that hard work that Zane Tenabano did to stop Amone getting a try. Lolohila picked up the ball, got the ball from dummy half, and just went straight over the corner. And again, in the next try, Lolohila was involved. He set up a try. He broke the defensive line, and he was looking for big Ben Murdoch in the cellar, but instead found Will Penasini, and he got the try to add up to his fourth of the match. And finally, Daniel Tupou was too slippery for the Cook Island defenders and was hard to contain. And he was going to add another try, but he got the ball to Amone. Finally, the Cook Island, and that was it for the Tongan scoring side. But then you've got Steve Masters, who finally got a try on the 68th minute. thanks to it literally somehow just kept the ball in play. It was like again millimeters between him going the ball going out and him scoring a try. It was so close. Like you would have to get to the counting down to the blade of grass. That's how close it was there. And then put it this way, Brad Takarani was he got an intercept pass from Tonga straight, well, close to the try line. He could have scored himself, but in Arona's last professional game of rugby league, he just Takarani decided to pass to him to score, and Arona slotted over the conversion to wrap up the Cook Islands World Cup campaign. Now I've only got two more games to go. We've got Samoa. Well, before I get into the Samoa France game, the standout players were Tonga from Connor was Jason Talamalo with two tries, 171 running meters, 7 tackle breaks, 2 line breaks, and also Will Penasini, who got 4 tries, 1 try assist, 153 running meters, 3 tackle breaks, 1 line break, and 1 offload. Now, Samoa v France. Samoa absolutely destroyed France, 62 points to 4. Again, the class difference between the two sides. I think France, in my view, was a bit, what would you say, a bit disappointing, is the word I'm looking for. I thought there would have been a lot more in it for this matchup. But that's the story of their campaign, really, and like a lot of them, just can't stick it with the big guns. But Samoa, and I'd say the standout for me was Brian Wooler. He took in a lot of effort and took control of this match. But the standout player for Connor from Samoa was Taylor May, who got 4 tries, 220 running meters, 3 tackle breaks, 6 life breaks, and an offload. So the story goes is Jerome Willow put in a perfectly weighted grabber kick with Tim Laffey to get the ball and improve the precision to score. Brian Totter goes over in the corner as the ball just simply went through the hands. Yet again, another basic footy line there. This one had a bit of awesomeness to it, just from Danny Levi to Jerome Willow to Milford, who absolutely threw a beautiful pass to Taylor May, to finish it off, and Taylor May's first try of the match. Yet again, the Penrith Panthers connection. This helps when had Toto, May, and Luai all three. But this one was for Samoa. I find Toto started to be in the clear, but he wasn't going to get through. Wasn't going to be getting the legs, or I shouldn't say getting the legs, didn't have the space. So he passed it off to May to get his second try and his second in succession. And also to his third in succession was May, who got his third as a halftime silence sound. You don't see 3 tries in succession and in the first half very often indeed. To start off the second half, Sale offloaded to Joanne Luai, who had a half a break, but couldn't get through. So he finds Danny Levi, who knew he wanted to go himself, but he didn't quite have the legs. And guess who was there to back it up? That's right. Taylor May was there to back up Danny Levi to cross over for his fourth try, and in a row. You don't see that often at all. Right, put it to him. That's the connection. That's what happens. Yet again, to Ryan Toto goes his over his second as just went through the hands, and Reds were backpedaling as Samoa had him running backwards, really, literally running backwards. They were just way too good, and the attack was too quick for the French to keep up. France finally got a try on the board by Phil Yaha. He was there at the right place, right time after picking up the scraps. It was a bit of a scrappy lead up. It's hard to pick out what really happened, but he picked it up the ball from Samoa not being able to clean it up. Anthony Milford scored a try himself after regaining the ball after copping the shoulder to their head. So he got the shoulder to their head in the try area in the in goal, and he lost the ball. He somehow picked it up and managed to score after copping a big whack to their head. That's quite outstanding, if you ask me. Wi-Fi gets his second after Jerome Lugar passes the ball to Chanel Harris DeVito, who then finds the try scorer to go over in the corner, being try scorer being Timmy Wi-Fi. Then Harris DeVito finally gets one himself after the French sort of knocked the ball out from Spencer Lenu, which then Harris DeVito was there to get the ball and hit and spin his way past the French defensive line and get his try. Ethan Milford grabs his double as they had again the French defensive line backpedaling, and there was enough room for Milford to break through. That was a try score, but this was absolutely next level stuff here. We had you have Junior Paulo. Now we know what he's like for Parramatta and everything. But he, at the last bit of the game, the French got the ball, and next minute you see alarm bells ring and like code red. Because Junior Paulo come through and absolutely smashed Archer Romano, who was running back into the field of play after the kickoff from the Samoans went into the in goal. Or a kick went into the in goal and Archer Romano was there and he picked it up and was running out, and Junior Paulo was absolutely covered and cleaned him up. No concussion or anything, but it was just absolutely a belter of a shot, and I think this is the shot of the tournament so far. Just in my view there. If you agree with me, give us a thumbs up in the comments. And the final match up for round 3 and all the group games, I should say, of the 2021 World Cup with Papua New Guinea beating the Wales side 36-0. Wales were just poor wherever you looked. It was wet weather, slippery ground, but typical England weather. And you think the Welsh would have been acclimatised to it, but no. PNG put on 6 tries, got 6 conversions. And it all started off in the 7th minute with Kyle Later getting the ball from dummy half, running across the field to try and find a gap, which he finds, and he goes straight into it to score. Nixon Pup got his first try of it out of 2. Another pass from dummy half set up the try for that one. And I might get this name right, it was Gutley. Sorry for the pronunciation if I get it wrong. But he goes long range to get a 3rd try for PNG. He just sliced through the Wales defence very, very easily indeed. The Welsh is just not suitable in defence, really. And Papua New Guinea is too slippery and made their way through the defensive line very easily. Yet another try from dummy half. This has been a common theme for PNG in this match. Getting tries from dummy, like after a pass on dummy half, they've just been scoring. Dan Russell got this one, he just got it from dummy half, and he just got it right on the painted white line for the try for the goal line. So very well done indeed there. Putt got yet another try for the PNG side. He barged his way over. There's two or three Wales players trying their absolute best to stop him from scoring, but they were very unsuccessful in doing so. That's pretty much the story of the although coming into the last, they were unlucky in the way Wales. They were so close so many times, and they were right on the PNG's goal line, but they just couldn't quite finish it off, or they made errors in try scoring situations, which just cost them, I'd say, about 4 or 5 tries, to be quite honest. But it just wasn't their night, and to cap it off, McGutley scored his second from a kick that bounced pretty high. It bounced high off player, I think, and it was hit high enough to get under the ball to get it to score underneath the sticks there. For the standout player was Tom Clark, who was Jimmy McGutley, with 2 tries, 171 metres, 7 tackle breaks, 2 line breaks, and 2 offloads. So that's round 3 of the World Cup all wrapped up. Now let's quickly go through the Women's World Cup round 1 result and what has been played of round 2 so far. So round 1 of the Women's World Cup, we had England beating Brazil, 72 points to 4. PNG beating Canada 34-12. New Zealand beating France 46-0. Australia destroying Cook Islands 74-0. And so far in round 2, which I'll touch on in the next episode more, England beating Canada 54-4 and PNG beating Brazil 70 points to 0. We don't do this very often. I haven't seen any coverage of this. It's just the result. But I was saying the highest ever total score has come upon us. Now, we thought that 86 was high. Then we thought 92 was high. And also, back in the early 2000s when Australia absolutely destroyed Russia 100 and something to 6 or so. And then early on in the year, in the championship, the Centurions getting 104 points to 4 or something like that. We'll get this. I'll get to it in a minute, but this is like a cricket score. In the wheelchair round 1 tournament, France in the third game of that too, like third game of round 1, France destroyed Wales 154 points to 6. Yes, you heard that. 154 points to 6. That's like in the cricket, saying when you got 6 batsmen out for 154 runs. That is unbelievable. I have never seen a scoreline that high ever in my life. That is pretty remarkable. I think that record's going to stand for a long time indeed. And the other scores from round 1 was Spain beating Ireland 55-32, England beating Australia 38 points to 8, and USA beating Scotland 62 points to 41. And to cap it all off, I'm going to give Connor's and my quarter-finals predictions. So Australia versus Lebanon. Connor says Australia to win this one 13 plus. I'm going to have to agree with him in that one there. England versus Papua New Guinea. He says England to win 13 plus. I'm actually going to say England lose 1-7-12. I think PNG will up the tempo a little bit, or not a little bit, or up the tempo a bit to try and stick it with England, but England still wins up from me 7-12. New Zealand versus Fiji. He says kind of says New Zealand 2013 plus. Have to agree with him there. And this one I think is the matchup of the quarterfinals: Tonga versus Samoa. Connor has gone Tonga 7 points to 12. it's going to be this is the game of the quarterfinals by far. Maybe even the game of the tournament. I don't know, but both island sides have both got big packs. Right at Samoa, what Samoa did to France and throughout the World Cup, it's been pretty impressive. But then Tonga as well. And it's going to be, I reckon it's going to be a very high scoring affair. Like I said, Tonga 7-12. I'd like to see Tonga go through as well, but I'm actually going to say Samoa to win this one by 1.6, or the margin of 1-6. And that's it for episode number 81 of the Sideline Chat podcast. If you like what you're hearing, check out our Facebook page and Twitter, which is and Instagram, is our Sideline Chat, and our Twitter is at Sideline Chat RL. Like this video and all the other previous episodes, subscribe and ring the bell to get notifications so when you get this episode uploaded and every new episode upload, you won't miss it at all. Hope you enjoy the quarter cup finals for the Rugby League World Cup and all the other Rugby League World Cup games that there are yet to play across the women's and the wheelchairs. I will catch you all next time. See you later.